Hey YouTube, this is Wrestling Park Fan 62. Here's my predictions for AEW Grand Slam Australia. I will say this. If you looked at my controversy video, you would know that it really wasn't until recently the whole card came together. There is a total of 5 matches on this card. There could be more with like the pre-show and all of that. I don't know. But the way it sounds like is it's going to be... It's just going to be another collision with the Grand Slam name. Sort of like what WWE did in 2024, I believe it was, for Raw and SmackDown with a Day One and a New Year's Revolution. The first one is Mariah May versus Timeless Toni Storm. Now, okay, the thing with this card, with this match in particular, is this one has history behind it. So, if you're not aware, this match happened at All In last year, where Mariah May beat Toni Storm after she turned on her going into the match several weeks prior, beat her with the shoe, had her Owen Hart women's title with her, and getting some of the loudest boos on the show. And then Timeless Toni Storm went away. And then for New Year's, right around New Year's time, she came back to Japan for a bit. And she debuted in AEW recently as somebody who essentially lost her memory. She didn't remember being in AEW. So she's like that person who is greeting everybody when you enter a new company, something like that, being like, nice to meet you, and stuff like that. And then on a episode of Collision 2 weeks ago, at Daly's Place, they had it where it was basically all a ruse, where Mariah beat the ever loving hell out of Toni with the AEW women's title and all of this, and Toni Storm did this promo where she went from being delusional to being essentially saying, I know what you did. So I think Timeless Toni Storm will win and become the new AEW Women's Champion. The next one was just made official on Collision this past week, which is Mercedes Moné versus Harley Cameron. Okay, I will say this first. Harley Cameron, outside of wrestling, is a very entertaining person. She does ventriloquism. She sings and all this other jazz. And she has started putting this into her gimmick on the show, where she made this very funny puppet of Mercedes Moné. On Dynamite last week, she did a funny thing where she was outside of Mercedes' locker room, where she brought the puppet and did her thing. And she asked Mercedes for a match at Grand Slam. She said no. So on Collision, she did this Harley halftime show, where it was like halfway through the show, in time for the Super Bowl. And so she challenged Mercedes Moné for the TBS title, and Mercedes accepted. One of the things I find funny about Harley is she did this, what was it, Field of Wrath or something like that, which was funny. So I think unfortunately Mercedes Moné retains. The next one is Okada versus Buddy Matthews. Now, this one is going to be interesting because this is going to be Buddy Matthews' home country. Okada, I don't know much about him outside of AEW, but from what I heard, he was a very big deal in Japan. Once he came to AEW, he became this comedy character where the only English word he was saying throughout the show when he would be on was the word bitch. So, how this came about, I'm not entirely sure. But I do think Buddy Matthews will win since it is in his home country. The next one is Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega versus Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Okay. This is going to be Kenny Omega's first match back since coming back to AEW a number of weeks ago from his essentially year-long battle with stuff with his guts and all of that. And Will Ospreay was Kenny's friend, and they were dealing with, and Will Ospreay for the longest time was dealing with Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. So, I think they're going to give Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega the win just because this is Kenny Omega's first match back in the company in over a year. And the last one, Adam Copeland and Jay White versus the Death Riders. With the Death Riders, it is going to be Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. This match in a Brisbane street fight or something like that. Oh, Jesus Christ. The Death Riders got to go. They're acting like they're tough. They're one of the reasons why this company is failing like it is. They're one of the reasons why when they appear on the screen, people just change the channel, turn the TV off, and maybe they come back. When Adam Copeland came back, he changed his name from, instead of like Copeland or Adam or something like that, he just changed it to Cope. We're like, what? How does Jay White fit into this is my question. Into a street fight? Or whatever they called this match? Jay White has been treated essentially like a jobber for at least over a year now. You can't take him seriously. While he has a cool entrance, the problem is you can't take him seriously. Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge in WWE, that's the same way. Once he came to AEW, for the first maybe a year at max, he was something to watch for. But then after that, once she changed his name to Cope, you're like, what is going on here? So I think Adam Copeland and Jay White will win, just because I think this is in Jay White's home area. So they're going to try and give, the hometown or home country people to win. But Jesus Christ.